Well, hello there, YouTube. I did the carburetor draining little video here not too long ago, and I got some comments about batteries and battery maintenance and whatnot. I'm gonna do the batteries in a two-part segment, I guess. The first one here, this is something I'm getting for myself, so I have another one. I already have two, but I leave one at work. But battery chargers. Now, everybody probably uses some kind of a battery tender or something to that nature to maintain their batteries during the off season. But not all battery chargers are equal. We sell these things. Our Longview store is a Honda shop, and but we sell them at the Vancouver store. We just ship them to our store. This is probably one of the most popular battery chargers by far. They're not cheap. They're $60, and I'm sure you can probably poke around and find them cheaper. Now this is Honda branded. We get them through Honda. It just seems like they're more readily available, and I think they're a little cheaper, because I think I've seen these things for like $70 or something. But it's made by Optimate, and it's the Optimate 3. This is one of only two chargers that is accepted by American Honda to be used as part of a warranty campaign. But this is not just your regular battery tender. This thing actually maintains the battery. I know Battery Tender makes a version of that, and you know, I'm sure it's probably a good charger. But this thing, I mean, just being the fact that it's one of the only accepted battery chargers for us to do any type of a warranty claim on a battery through American Honda speaks volumes. If the might of Honda says this is what you should be using. But I have one of these already. Like I say, I have two of them, and I keep one here, and I cycle this one between the motorcycles. Well, it'd be nice to have another one, so I decided to pick up another one today. And actually, at first I didn't think about it, but I thought on my way home, I go, shit, do a unboxing on it and discuss it a little bit. So it uses the same type of terminals that, like the battery tenders and like your Harley, I'm not sure if all models. I know the Street Glides, Road Glides, Electra Glides, all those come built. There's a harness lead built into the wiring harness of the new Harleys, which is really cool. But so anyway, it's a common little two-pole connector. So it comes with really nice, and these things bite down very, 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 very well on the batteries. They got a nice sharp pointy end to them, and you can get into all kinds of weird batteries. You know, like Harley batteries in particular have the weird posts on them. But anyway, so you can use it, you know, for something that you don't already have a battery tender lead on. It's not much to it. It's just a a straightforward charger, but what it does is the magic in it. This thing, you know, obviously it charges your battery, but it's constantly maintaining. It'll draw the battery down. It'll charge it to a certain point, draw the thing back down, and perform tests on the battery. You walk out in the shop and you'll see it in all these different modes it's cycling through. So it's not just one of the problems that a standard battery tender does is it's just throwing a constant, you know, amperage to the battery, and once the battery's full, it holds it there. There's nothing to cycle the battery. Maintenance-free batteries like to be cycled. Every single spring, you get people coming in that their batteries are dead, and they're going, well, you know, you guys put the battery tender leads on my Spider and I have it hooked up to a battery tender. Why is my battery dead? Well, just as bad as letting one of those, well, not as bad, but it's not good at all. But keeping that thing at a steady voltage all the time is not good. That battery likes to be cycled. This thing not only cycles it, but it's testing the battery too. If something's wrong, you'll get a light signifying there's a problem with the battery. You know, so you may have a battery that just outlived its life and it fails over the winter, but at least this'll let you know, and not wait until you go jump on your bike and take off. If you're using one of the battery mates, the cheaper ones, I think Yuasa makes them. It's just a steady voltage. It's not a maintainer. It's just a charger. What I recommend to people is to use them, is to put them on for a couple, 3 days once a month, and then take them off in between. If you have an older Spider, you know, they tend to have a little more of a draw on them than the newer ones, you know, just maintaining computers, clocks, and whatever on them. Still, once a month for a couple, 3 days, just do something, you know, make a schedule on your smartphone or on an old wall calendar, whatever you do, you know, just get into a ritual of going out there cycling it. Well, I'm terrible at that kind of thing. I would forget, and I'll go, geez, when's the last time I done it? You know, I got all these smartphones and I don't use them in that way, for something like that anyway. So I like these maintenance styles. I just plug it in and leave it on, and it's going to be constantly cycling that battery, you know, drawing it down, doing a test, charge it back up, draw it down, do a test and charge it back up. And depending on what the test is when it draws it down, will tell it what to do next. So it's trying not only to maintain it, but save the battery and cycle the battery. Very, very important. And if you don't already have tender leads, it does come with another tender lead. Of course, the Honda one, or the Optimate, has a nice little cover, which is really good. I have one of these on my Yamaha Venture, because this sits down because the gas tank is underneath the seat. So the tank that you see in front of you is just a facade. The air filter and battery and stuff is up there. Well, it's got a little door you open up, and that's where you fill it. It's like right in front of the seat at the bottom part of the facade tank. Well, that's the easiest place to have this, because the battery sits all the way up front. And there's the air box, and then there's the fuel filler. So every once in a while you'll spill a little gas and this thing keeps it all nice and sealed off. But you just simply connect it to your battery and run this into a place where you can have easy access to it. And when you get home and it's going to sit, you just simply plug the charger in, plug your tender lead type lead in, and walk away. And this thing will sit there and cycle through and maintain it. And it is, which is kind of cool too, if you have batteries that are loose, or your bike sits in the same place all the time, you can it has mounts, so you can mount this thing, you can wall mount it. And it even discusses some of the stuff for mounting it. But anyway, you don't have to buy the one from Honda, like I say. The other ones, they're not going to be as pretty. I think they're gray. And I have some of the old original battery mates out there. I noticed this thing's different. My other one didn't have the seam in there, because I take a Dremel tool and I carve my name into it, and then take a Sharpie and write it in there so it's forever etched. But mine didn't have a seam on it like that. I'll have to go out there in the shop and look at it and see. You know, they were always changing and updating things. But it comes with a nice manual to explain what everything does and what it means, what the lights mean. You know, it goes through all the different modes of it. And if you get a Optimate 3, you know, online through a different source, just make sure it's the Optimate 3. It's the most up-to-date one. And man, this thing works fan-freaking-tastic. I never have battery issues. I had a battery in my Venture last for 8 years, and I made the mistake of bragging about the stupid thing once, and went through the shop, and the damn the clock was off. The clock stays an old LCD clock, And it stays on all the time. I walked by and the clock was out. And I went, well, and she was done. But 8 years. That battery lasted 8 freaking years. It's hard to believe. But I was using the older style Optimate. It was just called an Optimate. And it was gray and just kind of an older look to it. And it was a maintainer also, but this one does a lot better job. And it works on any type battery. It doesn't have to be a maintenance-free battery, as you can see. You got the different, the AGM, gel, and standard. And it'll go through desulfating, whatever it needs to do. I've had batteries that, especially spider batteries, that's a huge battery in that thing. And I've literally had them test bad, or just a tester says replace, and for shits and giggles, I could think of a kinder way to put that. I ran it through the Honda charger. Not only did it bring the battery back to life, I still used it as a test battery, and this is 3-4 years later. It still lives, and probably about every 6 months or so. It's not attached to anything. It's just sitting under my bench. I'll hook up my Honda charger, the Honda Optimate 3 that I have at work, and plug it in, and it'll work. Right now, I'm working on a 2000 Indian Chief. It's one of the old Gilroy Indians. They were dubbed, built in Gilroy, California. Look at Wikipedia about Indian motorcycles, you'll get the whole story on it. Man, it was one of those S&S motor ones, and the guy thought his battery was dead. And the thing, it's really low. And I used the Midtronics or something like that as the company that makes this fancy battery tester we have. And it simply said charge and retest. And it sat on the charger for a while, and I did a retest on it, and it just says battery good, recharge is what the test says. But if you're in a hurry and you have a low battery, you go out there and your bike won't start. This is a real slow charger. You can see it's 800 milliamps or 0.8 amps. So its output is real low. So don't expect to be flying out and put this thing on and drive away pretty soon. Another thing that I have to mention, because so many people do this, and it ends up being a very, very expensive mistake. Do not go, unless you have like a Goldwing or a 1330 Spider, ST1300, or any other motorcycle that has an actual alternator. I'm not talking an alternator like a car alternator. Most motorcycles have a stator and a voltage regulator rectifier. The stator runs off the end of the crank usually. Sometimes they're on a jack shaft behind the, they have different arrangements. But a stator is not meant to recharge a dead battery. It maintains the battery as you're riding the bike. And the rule of thumb is, for one start, going out there, boom, starting your bike up, one start will take 20 minutes for the charging system to put back one single start. And I mean one start where you hit the button and the bike immediately lit off. If your bike is, cold natured and you had to wind on the starter a little bit, way longer. Way longer. We get people that live very close to work and will start their bike, drive 3-4 miles down the road, and they keep doing this, and they go, why do my battery keeps going dead and I have to charge it all the time? My charging system's failing. It's not failing. You're not riding it long enough to replenish what you just took out of it in one single start. So if you're one of these short riders, you need to, say you do this every day of the week. On the weekend or whatever, throw that thing on the charger, get that thing back. But number one, don't go out there. If your bike is too weak to start, you see people will jump them. Now, we'll jump them to drive them up the hill or to get them on our bench or whatever, but we're not running it long enough for the bike to recharge a dead battery. Your bike is not designed to charge a dead battery. You will burn the stator out or you'll burn the voltage regulator rectifier. It's a matter of time before it happens. Very, very important on Harleys. They got a very simplified stator charging system. Very simplified. You can take a stator out, and that is really not a cheap repair on a Harley. So on any of them, it's not. But Harley's a lot of labor involved. Japanese can be, depending on the bike, but very expensive. Stator is crazy expensive. A voltage regulator rectifier, I mean, them things can be $300-400. This is a $60 charger that'll keep that from happening. Now, if your bike does have an alternator, like I say, the 1330 Spiders, like ST1300, Honda Goldwings, they have an actual alternator. It's like your car. You can jump it and it will charge it. But don't, just try to avoid that. Keep your battery maintained. If your battery's low, don't rely on your bike to charge it back up. Get a charger on it and charge it. Don't use car chargers. On the top of every battery, especially maintenance-free battery, there's a listing of how many amps. There's a fast charge and a slow charge. There's 2 different listings there. And follow those guidelines for charging a dead battery. A maintainer like this, you can put it on at any time. You can come home just from a ride. As soon as you pull in, you pull your cord out and plug the thing in and let her sit that way. This, right now, when I'm done here, I'm going to walk out of here and I'm going to walk straight out to my shop. And this is going on the Street Glide. I've got my other one sitting on my iron right now. And I swap it, because the iron and the DR sit beside each other, and I swap them between those. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take it off the iron because it's been on there for a week or whatever, which doesn't hurt anything. It's not holding the battery at a high charge and just leaving it there. They stagnate when they do that. Them things like to be cycled, especially maintenance-free batteries. Maintenance-free is more than anything. They're a fantastic battery. They're very clean, very powerful, for their size. But they have 2 weak points. They don't like to be left in a discharged state. They'll die faster than anything left in a discharged state. I mean, they go quick. And what I'm seeing more and more is they don't like being held at a steady charge. Just a regular battery tender, and I don't mean to use battery tender's name in particular. They're so common. I mean that as a general reference. It's like, remember the old days, if you had a pocket PC or one of those organizers, everybody called it a Palm Pilot. Oh, you got a Palm Pilot. No, this is a compact, IQ or whatever they call those things, the different models. Everybody referred to them as a Palm Pilot. That's what I mean when I'm saying battery tender, because that's overwhelmingly the most common little plug into the wall chargers. And in defense of battery tenders, they do make maintainer. They do have their own versions of a battery maintainer. So, you can look into that as well. I'm from a personal perspective and from American Honda and my training with them. The Optimate brand in particular is the one to use. We cannot file a claim on a potential warranty battery unless we use this or the large version that's just a multi-port one. But this is that is that good that if this doesn't bring it back, the battery's just not going to come back. It's too far gone. Whether from neglect, very seldom. Just so you know, the odds of a battery being defective is almost nil. Almost doesn't exist. There's very few. If you're buying a good quality one, you buy these cheap, Chinese made things or whatever. Well, I'm not going to say name brands, I don't want to get in trouble, but there's a lot of cheap batteries out there. Don't buy a cheap battery. Spend the extra money. You are getting a better battery. I get people all the time. They're all going down the assembly line together and they get stamped with something different. That is absolutely, positively not true. That may happen with certain brands of car batteries or whatever. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know where people are even coming up with that. But there is a difference, a fundamental difference between like a Yuasa and no-name Chinese brand things or whatever, but whatever. I don't want to get into all that. I want to save the battery thing, the battery itself, to another video. But heck. But anyway, don't buy cheap batteries. In the long run, well worth buying like a Yuasa or any of the high-end batteries, and use a good charger to maintain the thing. And I don't mean just a whole winter storage. It could be just, you know, you don't ride very often. Maybe you ride, you know, once every 3 or 4 weeks or something. Over time, unless you're going on a good ride, you know, that the bike system is going to charge that battery very slowly. They are just to maintain the motorcycle. It's putting more in than what it's using. But it's like trickle charging like this. This is not a fast charger. It's 800 milliamps. That's a very slow charge. And they like a slow charge. So, you know, you may look at your voltmeter and it's reading 14.5, 15 volts on there. And you're going, wow, my bike charges the heck out of the battery. Well, yeah, it's the voltage number doesn't mean how many amps it's putting in it. Don't put a high amp. Do not use a car charger on your motorcycle battery. Ever. It needs to be, you know, something that specifically says it's designed for motorcycles. Most motorcycles are between 1 and 3 amps. You put a 6 amp charger on there, you may come out to your garage being on fire because you boiled the battery in the thing. You wouldn't believe the stories I can tell you over batteries, but we'll discuss that in another video. But anyway, fantastic charger. And like I say, you don't have to get it through Honda. The Optimate 3 is available, you know, through, I think it's, what, Swedish company or something like that. I don't know if the Honda thing will even tell me. But I think it's Swedish. I think. I'm not sure. But this is just a Honda branded Optimate 3, which I just think is cool as hell. I love Hondas, and it says Honda on there. I like that a lot, and I love the red. But anyway, there you are. Maintain your batteries during the winter. And if all you have is just a standard battery tender style charger that doesn't maintain your battery, don't leave it on all the time. Put it on for a couple, 3 days, once a month. You'll be perfectly fine. And that'll work. But for my peace of mind, I want to know. And when I walk out there, like in the wintertime, I go out to the shop to pull the car out every single day to go to work. And I'll walk by and I'll see this thing in different modes. I'll see it testing, I'll see it charging, I'll see it in different modes all the time. So I know for a fact this thing is constantly cycling and playing with my battery. It's like interacting with it like you're riding it every day. If you ride your bike to work every single day, and you don't live 3 or 4 miles down the road, you know, you're riding it long enough to replenish the startup, your battery just lives an insane amount of time. It's crazy how long it lasts. Maintenance-free batteries. And if you have well, we'll just go into batteries in another video. But anyway, here's an unboxing and a little discussion on the Optimate 3. This one just happens to be from Honda. I appreciate you guys watching now. Thank you very much.